text is considered by many to be the first recorded reference to zombies. It comes from the descent of Ishtar, an ancient Sumerian myth dating to around 2000 BC. 2 copies still survive, including this stone tablet from the British Museum of London.
What do you think? Zombie kill of the week?
Still, the zombie as most people know it is a relatively new concept, and the now well-established rules for what a zombie is and how it behaves took a while to take hold. In fact, a lot of it happened by accident. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the word zombie came from West Africa sometime in the 1800s. The term made its way to Haiti, where it became part of the local folklore. In Haitian myths, a zombie was a dead person who had been revived through voodoo or magic.
They are not men, monsieur. They are dead bodies.
Pretty much just a mindless slave. No eating people, no apocalyptic breakdown of society, just a wizard looking for an easy way to get a lot of work done.
Who walks with the dead.
In the first half of the 20th century, that was the zombie you'd find in Hollywood with films such as I Walked with a Zombie or White Zombie.
Zombies Part 1, voodoo, mind control.
Kevin Kreis is the owner of the Living Dead Museum in Evans City, Pennsylvania, the city where George Romero filmed Night of the Living Dead. The majority of the museum's exhibits focus on the Romero films and their impact, but those early movies are still acknowledged.
But they didn't act or feel or anything like what people think of as zombies now. I think some people are like, oh, look, a zombie movie, and they'll put it in and like, this is weird, this isn't really a zombie movie at all. But it's because the word was stolen and changed.
While the zombies in film weren't acting like zombies, zombie-like creatures were popping up in popular fiction. In 1818, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was published, the story of a reanimated corpse that seeks revenge on its creator. In 1921, H.P. Lovecraft wrote Herbert West's Reanimator, a series of stories about a mad scientist who brings dead bodies back to life that would be made into the cult film Reanimator in the 1980s. But it was Richard Matheson's 1954 novel I Am Legend that would introduce the plague aspect to the zombie concept. In the book, a pandemic turns Earth's entire population into vampires, with the exception of one man.
We're going to kill you, Morgan.
The book and its film adaptation, The Last Man on Earth, would greatly influence a young filmmaker named George Romero.
It started with this. The things you think of, of zombies that you think were always around, it's not the case. This all happened in the late 60s.
Those things are going to be at every window and door in this place.
In his 1968 film Night of the Living Dead, Romero would basically invent the modern zombie, combining the shambling voodoo zombie with Matheson's human-hungry vampires.
The Walking Dead today is following pretty much those rules. They're slow. You kill them by the brain.
The plan is kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
However, Romero's creatures weren't called zombies. They were called ghouls. They also didn't eat people alive. They murdered them first.
I don't think I've seen in any other Romero or really zombie movie a zombie use a weapon.
Right.
Because she kills her with the
garden spade. That gets overlooked a lot. Like, I talk
Yeah.
about that with people all the time. The way the zombies act is a little bit different than the way that they later retconned how they act in Dawn of the Dead. The rules are, for the ghouls, the ghoul rules in Night of the Living Dead is recently dead, come back to life, seeking out and murdering humans, and then eating their flesh, but in that order. So the murdering part isn't the biting part necessarily.
Another difference is that the zombies in Night of the Living Dead weren't the society-ending plague they would later come to be.
I think a lot of people miss that when you watch it before there's any knowledge of zombies, before you know about Dawn of the Dead, you get the feeling that the movie's called Night of the Living Dead, meaning that all this stuff happened that night.
Yeah.
And by morning, it's a tragedy. The one guy that we, thought was going to had the best plan and get through, still got killed anyway. That type of an ending. But seemed like things were kind of under control, and this was a one-night thing.
No one really knows when the term zombie started to be applied to Romero's creatures, but by the time he released the sequel, Dawn of the Dead in 1978, everyone, including Romero, was calling them zombies.
And that one is the one that really is what everyone does. Like the Dawn of the Dead rules is the one that everyone's like, well, this is really what a zombie is. It's like they die, however they die, doesn't enough they don't die from a bite necessarily. However they happen to die, they're back and they're ready to eat you, but they're still slow, and you can still kill them by hitting them in the head.
But those rules didn't always apply. In 1985, Dan O'Bannon's film Return of the Living Dead introduced a new type of zombie and gave them their now famous battle cry.
If you like walk down the street and ask anybody, what do zombies eat? They're not going to say flesh. They're going to say brains first, always, because it just became the thing, the simple answer, what everyone thinks of. That came from Return of the Living Dead, and only Return of the Living Dead.
That movie aside, zombies have pretty much stuck to the rules established by Romero in Night of the Living Dead 50 years ago.
And the fear of your family or your neighbors turning on you, which is a real fear people have in real life. It happens all the time. The fear of losing that connection you had with humanity, but in the form of a monster.
717 Credit Union. Business services designed to meet your daily needs. Commercial loans, business deposits, merchant and payroll services. 717 Credit Union. It's knowing you were treated right every time.